We're back again with Atlanta author Vincent Coppola, who is telling his story about having had cancer and about his book, The Big Casino, that he wants to get out to lots of cancer patients so that they can understand and have a better understanding of what they're going through and not feel so alone like he did. So welcome back to the show, Vincent.
Thank you, Doctor.
So tell me some stories from your book. Let our listeners know about this fantastic book, what they should anticipate.
Well, we have more than 30 of the top oncologists in the United States. And these are men and women who have treated the ordinary person as well as the celebrity. Some of them had cancer themselves. So one of the stories that resonated with me, because my mom passed away from cancer, was an oncologist in Florida who his own wife developed breast cancer. And it was just before these amazing breakthroughs in breast cancer diagnosis and treatment over the last 10 or 15 years. And this man, who was an oncologist, had to watch his own wife weaken, and he did everything beyond what the ordinary person could do. He reached out to colleagues all over the world, and he couldn't stop it. And what I remember most about that story, when his wife, of course, knew before he did that the end was approaching, and she went around the house and left little notes for him and his daughter. This is how you use the dishwasher. You should put this much laundry detergent in the washing machine. She kind of paved the way. And that changed him. And all these years later, it was maybe 25 years ago, he remembers that. And if you've had cancer or been touched by cancer, it's those little things that don't get written down that really happen and affect you. It affects you tremendously. That was one story.
There are just so many things to talk about. And again, you touched on your own cancer experience, and because it's in my area of expertise, I can't help but go back to that. You know, I think in what I do as a head and neck surgeon, we see it. It's easy to see. You know, you see it, you touch it, you noticed a swollen area in your neck, and sometimes it does amaze me that things that seem to be so simple in the end to diagnose, that they're delayed in diagnosis. So, you know, that probably didn't leave you with a great feeling about doctors.
Well, I had no symptoms other than a lump on my neck, which as I said, associated with some dental work. So, do I have a great feeling with doctors? No, I understand. I also understand there are distinctions among doctors. If you are a radiologist, you're going to treat people with radiation. If you are a surgeon, your instinct is going to be to operate on the cancer. If you are a medical oncologist, it's going to be chemotherapy. So everybody I went to had an approach, and I will say they were cautious about this diagnosis. And again, I was in extreme denial.
And what therapy did they finally come up with for you?
Well, it's called the gold standard, and it was extremely debilitating. I lost 35 pounds in 5 weeks. It was a combination of radiation, which is very tough because you're essentially strapped to a gurney in a mask so you don't move while a radiation beam probes and destroys the cancer. I had chemotherapy, also very strong and tough. And then finally, after all of this, there was still some cancer in the original nodes, and then I had to have surgery.
Well, once again, we're talking to Atlanta author Vincent Coppola, and about his book, The Big Casino. You know, I've never heard of cancer being called The Big Casino, the Big C. Never saw the program that was on. But, you know, we were in such denial. Do you think that in the public awareness now that we're able to deal with the diagnosis of cancer better today than we were, say, 10 to 15 years ago when you were diagnosed?
Well, I would say in general, because treatment is better, because the odds of coming out of the big casino alive have dramatically improved in many, many cases, as this book will show, because we have doctors who specialize in every kind of cancer. And you can just see, and many of their stories talk about what it was like to know that every person you sat down with would be dead, and dead very quickly of one cancer or another. And now, fast forward 25 years, people are being given their lives back, the quality of life. They're getting to see their kids graduate from college. And that's the difference from hopelessness to hope.
And it's very interesting. I think that there is a sense of hope now, that people are more concerned about the therapy causing your demise than the cancer. So if you can survive the therapy, then you'll be able to survive the cancer itself. It is interesting about your cancer that cancer of the head and neck has risen over 700% since the early 1970s. All right. And we're seeing an increase in esophageal cancer, which is related to head and neck, if you will. And we think that there is a big association between human papillomavirus, HPV virus, and head and neck cancer. In fact, new modalities have come about, and certainly has been made more popular by Michael Douglas having had head and neck cancer. But people just don't think much about it, I don't think, until they are diagnosed. And your book seems to be a great avenue for people to know that they're not alone, and to know about experiences and know what doctors go through to treat them.
Again, it is head and neck cancer, HPV related. It's now in epidemic proportions among the baby boomer generation. So not everybody who is obviously HPV positive is going to get throat, head, and neck cancer, but a certain percentage of us, Michael Douglas, me, looks like Jamie Dimon in New York City, the head of J.P. Morgan Chase, has just been diagnosed last week. So it's common, more common, and it's out there.
And a lot of people, I think, could find some solace knowing that they're not there alone. How about support groups? Well,
the book that we've written, we want to provide it to support groups. Our plan is to put this book in the hands of every cancer patient in America for free. And that involves obviously fundraising, because we need to produce hundreds of thousands of copies. And that is in the works as well. But I think the book, if you read it, it's important. It's important to know who your doctor is, that he or she is a human being who has suffered loss, who empathizes with you, and is under a lot of strain and pressure. It's a tough business. And I think bringing these people to life is a great, great boon to a patient. Wow. You get a sense of who they are.
Well, we doctors need some good press, especially from somebody in the press. But there are so many things that are available nowadays, including this book. What are you doing? How can people find out about this book and how to get it into the hands of those who need it most?
Well, we're moving on two fronts. Obviously, this is a nonprofit project, totally. So, and we're moving on two fronts. The book is now available on Amazon, and if it gets enough attention, I'm sure a mainstream publisher will pick it up. But we don't want to wait and go through all the song and dance to find an agent, a publisher, and hopefully do it. We wanted to do it. And that's one thing that cancer does. It makes you want to it focuses your mind, makes you want to get things done while you can do them. That is one approach. On the other hand, we are approaching advocacy groups,
right,
as well as pharmaceutical companies, etc., giving them the book, saying, isn't this something you'd like to present? Here are all the people, and they are the top people.
So how long has this book been published now?
It's only been out about 3 or 4 weeks.
Wow. Hot off the press. That's great. So if people would like to buy a copy, how do they get to it?
They would go to Amazon.com at this point, and the book is selling really well, word of mouth. It's been reviewed, and if you find it, you'll want to read it if you have somebody in your family or yourself, and other people are reacting to it, so I guess we're happy.
Well, that's great. Well, that's about all the time we have today. Thanks for listening. You're listening to Doc Talk on 640 WGST.